2 Chronicles, chapter 21 through chapter 24, verse 14. And Josaphat slept with his fathers and was buried in the city of David, and Joram his son reigned in his stead. And he had brothers, the 6 sons of Josaphat, Azarias and Jael, and Zacharias, and Azarias, and Michael, and Zaphatias. All these were the sons of Josaphat, king of Judah. Their father gave them many gifts, silver and gold and arms, together with fortified cities in Judah. But he gave the kingdom to Joram, for he was the firstborn. And Joram entered upon his kingdom, and strengthened himself, and slew all his brothers with the sword, and some of the princes of Israel. When he was 32 years old, Joram succeeded to his kingdom, and he reigned 8 years in Jerusalem. And he walked in the way of the kings of Israel, as did the house of Achab, for a daughter of Achab was his wife, and he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. Nevertheless, the Lord would not utterly destroy the house of David, because of the covenant which he made with David, and as he said to him, that he would give a light to him and his sons forever. In those days Edom revolted from Judah, and they made a king over themselves. And Joram went with the princes, and all the cavalry with him. And it came to pass, that he arose by night, and smote Edom, that compassed him about, and the captains of the chariots, and the people fled to their tents. And Edom revolted from Judah until this day. Then Lomna at that time revolted from under his hand, because he forsook the Lord God of his fathers. For he built the high places in the cities of Judah, and caused the dwellers in Jerusalem to go a-whoring, and led Judah astray. And there came to him a message in a writing from Elihu the prophet, saying, Thus saith the Lord of thy father David, because thou hast not walked in the way of thy father Josaphat, nor in the ways of Asa king of Judah, but hast walked in the ways of the kings of Israel, and hast caused Judah and dwellers in Jerusalem to go a-whoring, as the house of Achab caused Israel to go a-whoring, and thou hast slain thy brethren, the sons of thy father, who are better than thyself. Behold, the Lord shall smite thee with a great plague among thy people, and thy sons, and thy wives, and all thy store. And thou shalt be afflicted with a grievous disease, with the disease of the bowels, until thy bowels shall fall out day by day with the sickness. So the Lord stirred up the Philistines against Joram, and the Arabians, and those who bordered on the Ethiopians. And they went up against Judah, and prevailed against them, and took away all the store which they found in the house of the king, and his sons, and his daughters. And there was no son left to him, but Ochozias the youngest of his sons. And after all these things, the Lord smote him in the bowels with an incurable disease. And it continued from day to day. And when the time of the days came to 2 years, his bowels fell out with his disease, and he died by a grievous distemper, and his people performed no funeral like the funeral of his fathers. He was 32 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 8 years in Jerusalem, and he departed without honor, and was buried in the city of David, but not in the tombs of the kings. And the inhabitants of Jerusalem made Ochozias his youngest son king in his stead. For the band of robbers that came against them, even the Arabians and the Almazonians, had slain all the other ones. So Ochozias, son of Joram, king of Judah, reigned. Ochozias began to reign when he was 20 years old, and he reigned 1 year in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Gothaliah, the daughter of Ambri. And he walked in the way in the house of Achab, for his mother was his counselor to do evil. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, as the house of Achab had done. For they were his counselors, after the death of his father, to his destruction. And he walked in their counsels, and he went with Joram, son of Achab, king of Israel, to war against Hazael, king of Syria, to Ramoth-Gilead. And the archer smote Joram. And Joram returned to Jezreel to be healed of the wounds wherewith the Syrians smote him in Ramoth, when he fought against Hazael, king of Syria. And Ochozias, son of Joram, king of Judah, went down to see Joram, the son of Achab, at Jezreel, because he was sick. And destruction from God came upon Ochozias in his coming to Joram. For when he had come, Joram went out with him against Jehu, the son of Nimshi, and anointed of the Lord against the house of Achab. And it came to pass, when Jehu was taking vengeance on the house of Achab, that he found the princes of Judah and the brethren of Ochozias ministering to Ochozias, and he slew them. And he gave orders to seek Ochozias, And they took him while he was healing his wounds in Samaria. And they brought him to Jehu, and he slew him. And they buried him, for they said, He is the son of Josaphat, who sought the Lord with all his heart. So there was none in the house of Ochazias to secure their power in the kingdom. And Gothaliah, the mother of Ochazias, saw that her son was dead, and she arose and destroyed all the seed royal in the house of Judah. But Jozabeth, the daughter of the king, took Joash, the son of Ochazias, and rescued him secretly out of the midst of the sons of the king that were put to death. And she placed him and his nurse in a bedchamber. So Jozabeth, daughter of King Joram, sister of Ochazias, wife of Jodi the priest, hid him, and she even hid him from Gothaliah, and she did not slay him. And he was with him hid in the house of God 6 years, and Gothaliah reigned over the land. And in the 8th year Jodi strengthened himself, and took the captains of hundreds, Azarias the son of Joram, and Ismael the son of Johanan, and Azarias the son of Obed, and Maaseias the son of Adiah, and Elisaphan the son of Zacharias, with him into the house of the Lord. And they went round about Judah, and gathered the Levites out of all the cities of Judah, and heads of the families of Israel, and they came to Jerusalem. And all the congregation of Judah made a covenant with the king in the house of God. And he showed them the king's son, and said to them, Lo, let the king's son reign, as the Lord said concerning the house of David. Now this is the thing which ye shall do. Let a third part of you, even of the priests and of the Levites, enter in on the Sabbath, even into the gates of the entrances. And let a third part be in the house of the king, and another third at the middle gate, and all the people in the courts of the Lord's house. And let not anyone enter into the house of the Lord, except the priests and the Levites, and the servants of the Levites. They shall enter in, because they are holy. And let all the people keep the watch of the Lord. And the Levites shall compass the king round about, every man's weapon in his hand. And whoever else goes into the house shall die. But they shall be with the king when he goes out, and when he comes in. And the Levites and all Judah did according to all that the priest Jodi commanded them. And they took each his men from the beginning of the Sabbath to the end of the Sabbath, for Jodi the priest did not dismiss the courses. And Jodi gave to the men the swords and the shields and the arms which had belonged to King David in the house of God. And he set the whole people, every man with his arms, from the right side of the house to the left side of the altar and the house, over against the king round about. And he brought out the king's son, and put on him the crown and the testimony. And Jodi the priest and his sons proclaimed him king, and anointed him, and said, Long live the king. And Gothaliah heard the sound of the people running, and acknowledging and praising the king. And she went in to the king into the house of the Lord. And she looked, and behold, the king stood in his place, and the princes and trumpets were at the entrance, and the princes were round the king. And all the people of the land rejoiced, and sounded the trumpets. And there were the singers singing with instruments, and singing hymns of praise. And Gothaliah rent her robe, and cried, Ye surely are plotting against me. And Jodi the priest went forth. And Jodi the priest charged the captains of hundreds, even the captains of the host, and said to them, Thrust her forth outside the house, and follow her, and let her be slain with the sword. For the priest said, Let her not be slain in the house of the Lord. So they let her go out, and she went through the horseman's gate of the house of the king, and they slew her there. And Jodi made a covenant between himself and the people and the king, that the people should be the Lord's. And all the people of the land went into the house of Baal, and tore down it and its altars. And they ground his images to powder, and they slew Mathan the priest of Baal before his altars. And Jodi the priest committed the works of the house of the Lord into the hand of the priests and the Levites. And he established the courses of the priests and Levites, which David appointed over the house of the Lord. And he appointed them to offer whole burnt offerings to the Lord, as it is written in the law of Moses, with gladness, and with songs by the hand of David. And the porters stood at the gates of the house of the Lord, that no one unclean in any respect should enter in. And he took the heads of families, and mighty men, and the chiefs of the people, and all the people of the land, and they conducted the king into the house of the Lord. And he went through the inner gate into the king's house, and they seated the king on the throne of the kingdom. And all the people of the land rejoiced, and the city was quiet, and they slew Gothaliah. Joash was 7 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Sabiah of Beersheba. And Joash did all that which was right in the sight of the Lord all the days of Jodi the priest. And Jodi took to himself 2 wives, and they bore sons and daughters. And it came to pass afterward that it came into the heart of Joash to repair the house of the Lord. And he gathered the priests and the Levites, and said to them, Go out into the cities of Judah, and collect money of all Israel to repair the house of the Lord from year to year, and make haste to speak of it. But the Levites hasted not. And King Joash called Jodi the chief, and said to him, Why hast thou not looked after the Levites, so that they should bring from Judah and Jerusalem that which was prescribed by Moses the man of God, when he assembled Israel at the tabernacle of witness? For Gothaliah was a transgressor, and her sons tore down the house of God, and they offered the holy things of the house of the Lord to Baalim. And the king said, Let a box be made, and let it be put at the gate of the house of the Lord without. And let men proclaim in Judah and in Jerusalem that the people should bring to the Lord, as Moses the servant of God spoke concerning Israel in the wilderness. And all the princes and all the people gave, and brought in, and cast into the box until it was filled. And it came to pass, when they brought in the box to the officers of the king by the hand of the Levites, and when they saw that the money was more than sufficient, then came the king's scribe and the officer of the high priest, and emptied the box, and restored it to its place. Thus they did day by day, and collected much money. And the king and Jodi the priest gave it to the workmen employed in the service of the house of the Lord, and they hired masons and carpenters to repair the house of the Lord, also smiths and braziers to repair the house of the Lord. And the workmen wrought, and the works prospered in their hands, and they established the house of the Lord on its foundation and strengthened it. And when they had finished it, they brought to the king and to Jodi the remainder of the money, and they made vessels for the house of the Lord, vessels of service for whole burnt offerings, and gold and silver censers. And they offered up whole burnt offerings in the house of the Lord continually all the days of Jodi. Psalm 119, 120 in Hebrew, a song of degrees. In mine affliction I cried to the Lord, and he hearkened to me. Deliver my soul, O Lord, from unjust lips, and from a deceitful tongue. What should be given to thee, and what should be added to thee for thy crafty tongue? Sharpened weapons of the mighty with coals of the desert. Woe is me, that my sojourning is prolonged. I have tabernacled among the tents of Kedar. My soul has long been a sojourner. I was peaceable among them that hated peace. When I spoke to them, they warred against me without a cause. Psalm 120, 121 in Hebrew, a song of degrees. I lifted up mine eyes to the mountains, whence my help shall come. My help shall come from the Lord, who made the heaven and the earth. Let not thy foot be moved, and let not thy keeper slumber. Behold, he that keeps Israel shall not slumber nor sleep. The Lord shall keep thee. The Lord is thy shelter upon thy right hand. The sun shall not burn thee by day, neither the moon by night. May the Lord preserve thee from all evil. The Lord shall keep thy soul. The Lord shall keep thy coming in and thy going out, from henceforth and even forever. Proverbs chapter 25, verses 24 through 28. It is better to dwell on a corner of the roof than with a railing woman in an open house. As cold water is agreeable to a thirsting soul, so is a good message from a land far off. As if one should stop a well and corrupt a spring of water, so is it unseemly for a righteous man to fall before an ungodly man. It is not good to eat much honey, but it is right to honor venerable sayings. As a city whose walls are broken down, and which is unfortified, so is a man who does anything without counsel. The Holy Gospel according to St. John, chapter 14. Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God. Believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again, and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may also be. And whither I go ye know, and the way ye know. Thomas saith unto him, Lord, we know not whither thou goest, and how can we know the way? Jesus saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. If ye had known me, ye should have known my Father also, and from henceforth ye know him, and have seen him. Philip saith unto him, Lord, show us the Father, and it sufficeth us. Jesus saith unto him, Have I been so long time with you, and yet hast thou not known me, Philip? He that hath seen me hath seen the Father. And how sayest thou then, Show us the Father? Believest thou not that I am in the Father, and the Father in me? The words that I speak unto you, I speak not of myself, but the Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. Believe me that I am in the Father, and the Father in me, or else believe me for the very works' sake. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me, the works that I do shall he do also, and greater works than these shall he do, because I go unto my Father. And whatsoever ye shall ask in my name, that will I do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If ye shall ask anything in my name, I will do it. If ye love me, keep my commandments. And I will pray the Father, and he shall give you another Comforter, that he may abide with you forever. Even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it seeth him not, neither knoweth him, but ye know him, for he dwelleth with you, and shall be in you. I will not leave you comfortless, I will come to you. Yet a little while, and the world seeth me no more, but ye see me, because I live, ye shall live also. At that day ye shall know that I am in my Father, and ye in me, and I in you. He that hath my commandments and keepeth them, he it is that loveth me. And he that loveth me shall be loved of my Father, and I will love him, and will manifest myself to him. Judas saith unto him, not Iscariot, Lord, how is it that thou wilt manifest thyself unto us, and not unto the world? Jesus answered and said unto him, If a man love me, he will keep my words, and my Father will love him, and he will come unto him, and make our abode with him. He that loveth me not keepeth not my sayings, and the word which ye hear is not mine, but the Father's which sent me. These things have I spoken unto you, being yet present with you. But the Comforter, which is the Holy Ghost, whom the Father will send in my name, he shall teach you all things, and bring all things to your remembrance, whatsoever I have said unto you. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. Ye have heard how I said unto you, I go away, and come again unto you. If ye loved me, ye would rejoice, because I said, I go unto the Father, for my Father is greater than I. And now I have told you before it come to pass, that, when it is come to pass, ye might believe. Hereafter I will not talk much with you, for the prince of this world cometh, and hath nothing in me. But that the world may know that I love the Father, and as the Father gave me commandment, even so I do. Arise, let us go hence.